Okay, now I'm going to take off the coolant reservoir. There's a bolt or a nut on this side and a nut on this side. And then I'm going to take off the coolant line block, which shows to be back there. And I'm also going to have to take off this accumulator, or at least move it, because there's a stud right behind it that's going to be holding that HVAC unit in. So take those things off and then we'll see where we go from there. In order to get to that mounting block, which you can't even see it through all the hoses, or at least not very well, I'm going to have to take this cruise control servo off and just lay it to the side. There's two mounting nuts right here. Just going to take it off and lay it to the side. Okay, here's a point I'm going to add to get this accumulator loose and be able to move it, like, you know, out of the way of that stud. There's a stud. I'll try and see it. I'll try and see if I can get a picture of it. And what they do, they're using the stud itself. Okay, right there it is. They're using the stud as a mounting bracket for something that goes up here to the manifold. I don't know what it is, some sensor of some kind. So you've got to get this accumulator out of the way, and let's see if I can see the mounting screw for it. If I can find it again, there it is. Okay. Oh, let me see if I can zoom in. Get a better, there it is. Way down there is the mounting screw for the accumulator bracket. To get to that, now you can see, you find it again. There it is. You see, there's the alternator. There's no way you have room enough to get to that, to take it off. So you have two options. If you can get one of those little tiny side ratchets that you can fit your T30 or I don't know what it is, T30 or T25, something like that. Otherwise, you're going to have to take this wheel off and then take the panel off in there to get to that, so you can move the alternator, so you'll have enough room to get in there to loosen that, to move this, because you've got to move that accumulator. There's no way around it. That the third mounting stud for the HVAC unit is right behind it. I'm not going to say this job is a nightmare, because it depends 99% on your attitude. This is not a small job at all. This is one of the biggest jobs I've ever done on a car. And you've got to be organized. You've got to, I mean, when you take a look at what this looks like now, to put all this back in, you have absolutely got to be organized and disciplined and temperate. There's no easy way around this. That's why the garages charge anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 for this job. It's not a small job. So you've got to be organized, keep everything together, stay focused, and you've got to keep one thing. To get to one thing, you've got to take two others, completely different things apart. So that's why I hope this video helps, because I couldn't have done it without Slusher Manor's video on it. But the 2006s that were redesigned in 2006 From there on, I have to say this is a much more difficult job than the earlier models. So, but it's going to depend entirely on how organized you are, and that'll make it a whole lot easier. And we'll keep going here. Okay, the last thing that should be holding this in, the book, Haynes is real bad about sometimes they keep up with design changes and a lot of times they don't, and they're showing 2 bolts, this one and one somewhere right over here, but this is totally redesigned from the older models. I cannot find another bolt unless surely it's not behind this molded insulation, because that is by itself would be a woolly booger to get out and get access if it's, because this is molded, this is hard. If you pull on it, it's going to break. So I'm going to take this bolt out here, and if this still doesn't come out, I have to find another one somewhere hidden. I'll make a note of that so everybody will know where it is. Okay, this still won't come out, and lo and behold, hiding behind this wiring harness is a large bracket for the discharge, and there is the second bolt. Okay, so hopefully there won't be any more than that. In the older models, they show it up here, somewhere in this vicinity right there. It's way down there now on 2006. I can't say for anything other than what I have right here. It's a 2006 model, and it's a base model. So the fancier you get, the more problems you'll run into, but we'll take that out and see if that'll bring us outside. Okay, it's ready to come out, but here's a little detail you need to know. This duct assembly goes in under the carpet and blows to the warm air, to the back passengers, or I guess cool air too, whichever. It's gonna be way hard to get this out without taking that out, and you may even break something. So there's a screw, one screw, you take it loose right there up top, and there's just one screw right there holding it, and then that should come out. That should allow everything to just come straight out then. Okay, there it is out of the car. This is not a job for sissies, I can tell you that. Gonna have to take the case apart now, and there's just a whole bunch of screws all around. I'll take it out and we'll take it apart and see what she looks like. They've made this where you don't have to take the case, split it apart to get to this. Once you take a few screws off, then the heater core will just slide out. But I'm going to take it apart anyway because I want to clean the evaporator, which is in there with it, and get rid of all the moldy smell. I need to disinfect it anyway. So, but just to get the core out, you don't have to split it. You can just take it out the side. Right there it is. If you watch Slusher Manor's video, which I recommend, anybody that has an older PT Cruiser, I highly recommend his video on heater core replacement. You can look at his, and his is it's very different than this. For one thing, he has the old copper tubes. This is all aluminum, and I would imagine that after 275,000 miles, and you calculate how many gallons of liquid had flowed through there, it just wore through. And on something like this, I know there are places out there that claim they can fix these, radiator shops. I wouldn't trust them. They can fix this leak here, but you still have other worn places all through this. So the way to go on this is to buy a new one. It's more expensive, but now if you're confined by money, I understand that. That's a horse of another color, so do what you got to do. But anyway, that's the leak right there, and it was leaking good. That's why I wanted to thoroughly clean the evaporator. There is a filter you can buy, and why they don't put it on at the factory, I don't know. But it would prevent a lot of this. I started buying them and putting them in. But you can tell I'd gone enough years without doing that I guarantee you that lowers the efficiency of your AC unit, not to mention harbors every kind of stinky smell you can dream of. So I'm going to clean that up really good and disinfect it. And then we'll start the task of going back the other direction. I did want to mention that with this design change in 2006, this compartment for the evaporator, which is what makes the water that goes out the drain tube, is completely separate and contained from the heater. The heater is in there, but it's on this side. So there will be no, if your heater cord goes out, there will be no antifreeze flowing out your drain tube like on the earlier models. It'll likely be coming into your passenger compartment.